On the Hawkeye Sports Network from Learfield, this is the Fight for Iowa podcast, brought to you by Athletico Physical Therapy, proud partner of the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Big Ten Conference. Also by Iowa's Corn Farmers of the Iowa Corn Growers Association and Iowa Corn Promotion Board. You may think Iowa grows corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa. Also brought to you by Shields. We're right there with you in Des Moines, Sioux City, Iowa City, and Cedar Falls. This is the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
Iowa breaks open a top-shelf football schedule Saturday with the first of 7 home games against FCS power South Dakota State. The Hawkeyes won 10 games last season and look to successfully defend their West Division championship. South Dakota State won 11 games, losing in the Final Four of the football championship division playoffs. Iowa's All-Big Ten linebacker Seth Benson is from Sioux Falls. He's excited to play his home state. Then again, he's excited to play someone in another uniform after a long fall camp.
No, all I'll really say is that it doesn't really matter right now. Obviously, that matters in January. So we're just going to take it one game at a time, one practice at a time, and, just focusing internally with our guys and the people in this building because, we got trust in each other and we're ready to go.
Benson will team up with All-American Jack Campbell, Justin Jacobs, and Jay Higgins in forming a veteran, talented collection of linebackers. Like Benson, we're ready to go, too, with this week's Fight for Iowa podcast. I'll come right back with more football chatter in a minute. We're sponsored by Iowa Corn, Athletico, and Shields.
More of the Fight for Iowa podcast after this.
Oh, you know that old injury of yours? The one in your knee or maybe back? Instead of going to the doctor and then doing physical therapy, why not start with therapy first? Athletico Physical Therapy is changing the whole healing process around. Their physical therapists will find the source of your pain and help fix it. Start with them and start living pain-free. Just like that.
It all starts with Athletico Physical Therapy. Schedule your free assessment at athletico.com. No prescription needed. Proud partner of the Iowa Hawkeyes.
This is the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
South Dakota State veteran football coach John Stiegelmeier has seen it all in his 25 years at the helm. And when he looks at Iowa, Stiegelmeier feels the big picture is the Jackrabbits' defense stopping Iowa's run game. That puts the Hawkeye passing attack squarely in the spotlight. Wide receiver Arlen Bruce will be a focal point. Part of the second youngest roster in the Big Ten, Bruce, a sophomore from Olathe, Kansas, has 4 career starts, but played in all 14 games in 2021. He's faced all kinds of competition. Bruce cautions whether South Dakota State or Ohio State, the Hawkeyes take no one lightly.
I know people like to bring up the loss to North Dakota State a few years back, but we treat every game the same. Every game is a big game to us. Like, people will bring up, our family members even bring up, like, oh, are you ready for the Michigan game, the Cy-Hawk game? Like, we treat every game the same.
Bruce had 25 catches in his first year, 4 of those for touchdowns. Quarterback Spencer Petras hopes to find him and all pass-catching teammates a lot more. The fifth-year senior attended the Manning Passing Academy this summer, and he's poised for a successful season.
We've been through the 8+ months of preparation in the offseason. It's time to go out there and compete against an actual team and to score touchdowns, to make first downs, and to have a score. Like, it's time for that. I feel it. I think our rest of our players feel it. Our coaches feel it. It's time to go.
This will be Petras' 20th start with 3,500 career passing yards. There isn't much he hasn't seen from opposing defenses.
I'm really happy with how I'm throwing the football right now. Happy with how I'm processing, how I'm executing the offense. There's absolutely the mental side of it. Just it gets easier as you go. As a senior now, be my 3rd year starting. Like, I've been through it all. There's not much that that could happen in terms of ups and downs of a season that will be new.
Alex Padilla is Petras' backup. A couple running backs will see significant action, and why not? Gavin Williams and LaShawn Williams averaged 6 yards a carry in the New Year's Day Citrus Bowl. Opening weekend gets started with Fry Fest in the Coralville River Landing. It draws hundreds of Hawkeye fans, and the university unveils its annual Letter Winners Club Hall of Fame. That's next on Fight for Iowa.
More of the Fight for Iowa podcast after this.
There's a sense of pride that comes from the life of a farmer. How many people can say they have a famous tan named after them, or be known for their wave when they drive past neighbors and strangers alike on a 2-lane road? Whether it's a farmer's tan or the farmer's wave, we are proud to be known for a lot of things. We feel that pride every night at the dinner table, knowing we feed our family and yours. Iowa Corn is proud to be on the sidelines cheering on the Iowa Hawkeyes. In Iowa, we grow corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa.
This is the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
The 33rd Iowa Letter Winners Club Hall of Fame class includes football's Dallas Clark, Amy Fowler of field hockey, softball's Carrie Knopf, baseball's Keith Noreen, George Roddy from golf, swimming and diving's Nancelia Underwood, and wrestling's Dan Holm. Holm won the 158-pound NCAA championship in 1975. The three-time All-American led the Hawkeyes to their first ever NCAA team title under head coach Gary Kurtelmeyer, and a foundation piece for Dan Gable's incredible run at the helm. Iowa won back-to-back Big Ten titles in 1974 and 75, and Dan Holm was the catalyst.
But I was the only senior on that team, and so, it was quite a team effort, just not mine. All those kids came back, and they won it again the next year. So,
McCuskey, Kurtelmeyer, and Gable. Talk about an excavating company that not only plowed the dirt and laid the base, but poured the foundation, and Iowa was off and running. That must make you very proud, you and your teammates from that mid-'70 era.
I came back my sophomore year, and all this was happening. Coach Gable showing up, Roy Carver in the background. We had all these guys show up to be assistants, volunteer assistants, and working for world team positions, training. Quite a turnaround. Boy, that just started it all.
And I know how wrestlers are just as prideful of Big Ten championships as any NCAA title, because after all, the Big Ten is king. You helped lead Iowa to back-to-back Big Ten championships. You really set the baseline, didn't you?
Yes. Coach Gable had a saying when he came to the room, we're going to take it to the next level. And we all took him serious, and we all applied ourselves. And again, I'm going to emphasize the team effort on this, because one guy can't. He can get his trophy and go on home, but to get a team title and get the first one for Iowa, I think of all those guys, all 40 of them in the room.
You took my next question, because you talk to golfers like Zach Johnson, and he'll tell you, it's never me against the other guy, it's me against the golf course. Wrestling is somewhat individualistic. It's you against him, but I don't know that there's another sport that takes more pride in team titles.
It's hard to do. It's very difficult. Penn State's leading the way now, and we're right there with our new recruiting classes coming up. We've got the power, so we're going for them. We're going for them.
Besides you, who are the characters that you remember, quote unquote, off that 2-3 stretch, 74 through 76? Tell me, give me a good story.
The stories are something else from the other guys. It really is. But we had a great time, great team effort. Again, here I am getting an award. The first thing I do is think about 40 guys, the work we put in, the coaches, Gable. I could tell you a story about Gable kicking my butt one night. I took him down, senior year, 2 weeks to go before the Big Tens. And we started scrimmaging, warming up, and that lasted about 30 seconds. And we were covering 3 mats, and he was getting the best of me, but finally I caught him on an ankle pick, my first takedown against him. And I stood up, cackled, did you see that? I scored. And I'm walking around bragging. And all of a sudden the whistle blows. We're going to match. I turn around, and Gabe was looking right at me.
Emotions run high with Dan Holm when Dan Gable's name surfaces. Born in Chicago and now living in Marion, Holm says he'll be forever grateful for the chance the university gave him. A final word on this week's Fight for Iowa right after this timeout.
More of the Fight for Iowa podcast after this.
Here we go. Exciting adventures await. Grab your bucket list and keep the fun going all summer long. Pitch a tent, grab a sleeping bag, and sleep as a family under the stars. Fire up the grill and host a backyard barbecue. Visit a local trail for a hike or a drive to a state park for an all-day family adventure. With all there is to do this summer, we encourage you to get outside and make new memories. Whatever you do this summer, Shields is right there with you.
This is the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
Congratulations are in order for Hawkeye field hockey coach Lisa Salucci. Salucci won her 100th career match last weekend in the Big Ten ACC shootout, a 2-1 double overtime decision of Wake Forest. Salucci becomes the fourth Iowa coach in the storied program's history to hit the century mark in victories. The fifth-ranked Hawkeyes host Boston University in their home opener Friday, followed by St. Louis on Sunday. I'm Gary Dolphin. Happy Labor Day. Thanks for tuning into this week's Fight for Iowa.
Hawkeye fans, remember to hit the subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. Once you become a Fight for Iowa podcast subscriber, you'll automatically receive the latest episodes of the Fight for Iowa podcast, the Hawkeyes Voice podcast, Hawk Talk replays, exclusive game day content, and more. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Hawkeye Sports Network.